Hi, it's iRacing commentator David Haynes. In 2019, I'm excited to be bringing coverage of the ChampCar Sim Series, the sim racing division of the ChampCar Endurance Series. Contested across 15 championship rounds using the 2015 Mazda MX-5, the winners will receive a free entry into a real ChampCar Endurance Series race in the 2020 season. Each points round will be broadcast live by HJBC. Head to forum.champcar.org for full information and schedule. Sign-ups are open, so get registered now. Best of luck, and I'll see you at the track. Hello, welcome to HJBC and welcome to coverage of round 4 of the ChampCar Sim Series this week, coming at you from Daytona International Speedway. Fantastic racetrack, going to be very, very interesting in these Mazda MX-5's 2015 specification. As always, I'm David Haynes, but joining me for commentary this week, it's Vice President of ChampCar. I'm joined by the one, the only, Doc.
Hello there. Glad to be joining y'all.
As always, the format, 1 hour race tonight. And of course, the drivers are racing their way towards getting a free entry into a ChampCar Endurance Series race next season. And that's something you've been a little bit involved with, I believe, Doc. So from your side, what's important about the ChampCar Sim Series?
Well, I think it gives a great place for us all to get together, not at a racetrack, because when you get to the track, you're so busy all the time. You don't get to see everybody you want to see. It gives you some practice, and it gets our members more involved with what we're doing with ChampCar.
So it's qualifying underway right now. 7.5 minutes left of that. Currently, John Allen on pole position by a little margin, ahead of Nicholas Love and then Alex Bueller. We've got a good turnout for Daytona. People like Daytona. It's a well-known track. It's a popular track, and it's going to be a little bit other ones that we've visited. And to talk about some of that, we've got a fantastic video that was produced by Andrew Fawcett. Let's roll that one.
Hello and welcome to the World Center of Racing, Daytona International Speedway, home of round 4 of the ChampCar Sim Series. Let me take you for a lap around this historic racetrack in my trusty ChampCar Sim Series MX-5. Turn 1 here at Daytona is by far the most difficult on the racetrack. You're coming off the banking and it's a very flat corner, but you're coming in at very high speeds. Getting your braking right and maintaining as high apex speed as you can is the key to turn 1. Through a little set of S's into the International Horseshoe. This is one of 2 180-degree hairpins in the infield and can be taken in 3rd gear. Get the power down as soon as you can and maintain as much speed as possible. Now we head through the kink, which is flat in almost every single car you drive around here, into the 2nd horseshoe. These are going to be opportunities for overtaking, so I would anticipate seeing lots of passing going on into these horseshoes. Out of the west horseshoe we go and down towards turn 6. Turn 6 is probably one of the most important corners on the entire track as it leads onto the long oval section down towards the bus stop. Brake sharply and then release to get the rear end around. Get on the power as early as you can as we head our way onto the NASCAR Oval. The oval makes up a large portion of this racetrack, and it's going to be where we see almost all of the action tonight. You'll see every different type of drafting around the banking of the oval. Keys to the race tonight: stay in the draft. That's it. If you keep your car clean and stay in the draft, you're going to have a chance at the win tonight. Maybe save some fuel to jump your opponents on the pit stop. Out of NASCAR's turn 1 and 2, you head your way to the bus stop. The bus stop is a quick chicane that was added to the track in the 70s to slow sports cars down as speeds rose to an all-time high. This is a difficult corner, but maintaining as much speed through here is crucial to the run back to the start-finish. The run to the start-finish might be the longest or shortest of your life. If you're leading, it's way too long. If you're behind, it's not long enough. This is going to be the highest action area of the racetrack as we see drivers jockeying for position. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a pass for the win here, coming to the start-finish. That's a lap around Daytona International Speedway. It's going to be a really good race tonight, and I hope you enjoy the broadcast.
And there we are. Of course, if you don't know Daytona, now you do. But obviously, of all of the circuits that we visit here, both with the ChampCar Sim Series and with the real ChampCar Endurance Series, probably one of the best known in America and around the world. Famous for those high banked turns, high speeds. And these cars that have got comparatively fewer horsepower than a lot of other race cars that visit here means the slipstream, as I'm sure was touched on, is going to be pretty critical. Pack racing, I think, is going to be the order of the day, at least until we get to the first pit stop stock.
Oh, I would certainly think so, especially with this Miatas. Even the E30s, we tend to gang up with each other at Daytona and try and help each other out. You've got some of those big SC300s, and we're going to have a couple of Boxsters there, so they're kind of hard to keep up with our horsepower without some help from your friends.
Yeah, so looking at the weather and the time of day for us right now, there's 3 minutes left of qualifying. There's a couple of drivers out there looking close to improving. The order hasn't shaken up much. John Allen's still got the lead there, but we're looking at, and I've got all the wrong units for the Americans here, 24 degrees Celsius on track. I think that'll cool off a little bit more. That's got to be, I don't know, I'm guessing like 60, 50 Fahrenheit. What is it? Someone tell me. 76,
Beats me.
Wow. There we go. My conversions are way off there, but obviously it's in the evening now, sun just setting as qualifying is finishing, and we're going to presumably race into the darkness as well. So not hot track temperatures, pretty cool, pretty grippy ones, and I think we're going to get a great light show. Fantastic to have the iRacing day to night transitions,
yeah, that's
and all
fantastic.
the pretty effects and weather changing, track temperature changing effects that come with that one, Doc.
Yeah, that's such a great feature. So I mean, this is as close as you can get to being there, folks.
Yeah, it's pretty immersive, and when you've got it on the one-time speed, the realistic speed, it really does creep up on you. The sun doesn't sneak in a hurry, but you do a couple laps or you get halfway through a stint, and suddenly you realize how much darker it's maybe gotten in some of your braking zones, or you're spotting your braking markers or your apexes. And thankfully, this circuit's pretty well lit, and these cars do have headlights, but earlier rounds like Road Atlanta,
oh man, that was wild.
It did get very dark.
Yes, it did. And I mean, that was amazingly realistic. These guys have really done their homework.
The floodlights are on around the circuit right now. It's 7:30 in the evening track time in the session, so the sun is just getting down below that horizon. You can see some great swathes of orange on some parts of the banking, but very, very soon it is going to get dark. There's a minute left of qualifying. It means anyone that's on a flying lap right now is going to get to finish it, but we're not going to see too many people coming out of the pits able to start a new flying lap from here. It's coming towards the end of the qualifying session, and I'm not seeing many people finding an improvement out there right now. Maybe you absolutely need a drafting partner to be able to set a quick time at this point of the session, and no one's finding that. So from our director, we might find a car to ride on board with for the end of this session. Looking for Justin Hall. He's just coming towards the end of a lap right now. We'll see if this one is going to be an improvement for him. Currently down in 9th place in the 164 car. Through that tricky bus stop chicane, approaching that one at high speed. It's always difficult to spot your braking markers, and then it's got sort of 4 apexes to it. Hall gets a good exit. He's got a draft off someone in front of him there. That might be Alex Bueller or Lee Mullerman. So he's going to try and carry as much speed as he can off the final of the banked speedway corners onto the tri-oval, but I think he's had to abandon that one, and he's going to practice his pit entry, which is very, very important. He gets hit by from behind, and that was from Alex Bueller.
One of the trickiest things about the bus stop is you've got to look ahead and see how much junk is on the track because that fine sand, when you hit it, it's like glass.
And of course, as the checkered flag is out right now, everyone on a lap's going to be able to finish it, but there's really not many cars out there. So, yeah, it's going to be a required pit stop because of the fuel tank limitation and the fixed setup in this one. So practicing the pit entry is actually a very, very wise thing to do at this point because you can lose or gain quite a few seconds with your pit entry. If you come in too hot here and you haven't slowed down to the pit lane speed limiter, by the time you hit those yellow cones, you'll be slugged with a 15-second stop and hold in your pit box. And if you're in a pack and you get one of those and it puts you 15 seconds behind everyone you were racing, everyone you were slipstreaming off, that's going to be very, very severe penalty indeed. So at least one or so improvements out there. Chris Nicely, I'm seeing, just jumping up the order a little bit as well, just setting a 2 minutes 14.5 then. Moves his way up the order. Just got to wait for qualifying to wrap up, and we can tell you your qualifying order. Well, I don't see anyone out there setting a lap right now, so what we might do then is run down your qualifying order. So on pole, John Allen, a 2 minutes 12.8. He's then solidly clear of second place, Alex Albert, who's a 2 minute 13.4. Then the second row is going to be Nicholas Love and Alex Bueller. Behind them is going to be Ross Banfield with 5th place and Gene Sirota with 6th place. 7th is Bradley Daly. 8th, Benjamin Shout. 9th place, we are having a look at him, but he didn't improve, Justin Hall. And 10th place is Alex Coffard. 10 seconds left in the qualifying right now, and this order isn't going to change. So 11th place, Chris Nicely, you mentioned, his fastest lap was his last lap of the session, finding a little bit of speed in the dying moments. 12th is David Evans. 13th is going to be Lee Mullerman. 14th, Jay Safiniak. 15th, Kelly Stoops. 16th is Roy Deitch. 17th, Jacob Hiller. 18th, Joseph Maher. 19th, Tom Ellison. 20th is Corey Brown. 21st, Scott Grinnell, and 22nd, Louis Morga. Got 3 cars in session that haven't set a qualifying time. It's Mitchell Peak, Brian Cheney, and Jacob Beenan. They can still take the start from the back of the grid, but they haven't managed to set a lap time or a clean lap in qualifying. So I don't know if we will see them take to the grid dock. They're all forming up on the grid now.
I would imagine turn 1's going to get busy as it usually is. These cars are going to really want to stick together.
Yeah, exactly. That's always the way of Daytona, even more so in cars like these. Hoping for a clean start this time around, and if they can all get through the first lap clean, then there's hope that everyone will be able to race cleanly. But I'm not expecting anyone to be able to make a breakaway. The draft following another car will be worth as much as maybe 0.8 of a second per lap around here. That's how much quicker someone would have to be than you to be able to break the draft, break that advantage through the infield of the course, because once you come back up onto the banking towards the bus stop, and then from the bus stop towards the start-finish line, that's just such a high-speed section of the track, effectively one huge long straight, and the slipstream so very, very quick there. So they'll start to pull away John Allen and Alex Albert making up the front row of the grid with Nicholas Love and Alex Bueller behind them. Behind the iRacing safety car. Which one have we got? It's the new Porsche GT3 Cup safety car. That's a fascinating little one that we've got. Lights are out on it, of course, though, because we will be going racing this time as they approach the start-finish line. It will be John Allen who controls the field. He's got the blue and yellow Alex Albert on his high side, and then behind them, Alex Bueller in a purple car, Nicholas Love in the deep blue car. John Allen's sort of black and blue there. And trying to have a look at maybe how many cars we've had take the start. It's definitely at least 20, which is a very, very healthy grid for this championship. There's a lot still on the line. This is only round 4, and with 4 drop weeks, anyone could still win the championship, win that big prize. Stacking up. Green flag is in the air. A little bit of a checkup in the back of the field. I hope we've all gotten away cleanly. They are very, very densely packed as they cross the start-finish line there, Doc. Nearly going 4 wide. While someone is on their roof in the background of the picture there. Who is that dropping down the field? Benjamin Shout in the number 22 car. So they did indeed go 4 wide. John Allen waited a long time to put the power down, and then once the green flag waved, he really didn't have a jump over everyone else. So absolutely stacked up the field. Now he's had a poor run through the International Horseshoe, and someone else is around from the background there. So the cars are all stacked up 3 wide in the infield here, and we're having a very, very chaotic start to the race. For the lead, Alex Albert has just got his nose to the inside of John Allen into the West Horseshoe. Can't make it stick. John Allen taking a very, very late apex. He's not getting away. Alex Albert would really, really like to win this race. He'd like to show that he's got the pace to stick it to someone like John Allen. That other car that went for a spin around in the infield, I'm trying to work out who it was, might have been Kelly Stoops. So some people not having a fantastic first lap, but they are side by side, Doc, for the lead this time.
Yep, we'll see who's got it to stick through the bus stop. It's always a very hard braking zone.
So Albert has gotten his way to the lead. John Allen has managed to get back down in the slipstream. There was room for him to slot down onto the low line, so he'll just take second place. Still Nicholas Love in third, Alexander Bueller in fourth. That hasn't changed places. Behind them, there's been a little bit more chaos, but our top 4 and our top 6 have made a little bit of a breakaway because the gap from Chris Nicely in 6th back to Ross Banfield in 7th, that's out to about a second and a half. If they don't fight each other too hard in the top 6, they could make a breakaway and it'll be a little bit safer later on. John Allen's got a run again on Alex Albert for the lead, but I think he chooses to just stay in line for now. It's letting all the cars behind catch up, and once again, that's 1 lap in the books. They're going to approach turn 1 this time and hope it's a little bit cleaner than the first lap.
Yeah, I mean, there's no sense in pulling out right now and doing something silly. You're just going to lose it back. Although they're going to contest that lead.
John Allen got in very, very hot there, didn't he? Trying to go around the outside. It's compromised his exit. Now he's side by side with Bueller for second place. Alex Albert will try and make a breakaway, but I think the cars behind are a little bit too clever for that. And of course, the slipstream being effective, nearly a second back behind. So your top 10 as they run after the first lap. Alex Albert's taken the lead. John Allen in second. Bueller, then Nicholas Love. 5th place is Bradley Daly. 6th is Chris Nicely, who's made up a bunch of spots on the start. 7th, Ross Banfield lost a couple. Tom Ellison in 8th is up 11 spots, just staying out of carnage. 9th is Justin Hall and 10th is Lee Muehlman, but looking at that front pack, Albert now a second clear. John Allen and Alex Bueller fighting once again for second place. John Allen is very aggressively throwing the car into the corners and sometimes just getting it in a little bit too hot, picking up some understeer, not being so patient, but it's cost him just a little bit there. So they're gap behind from Alex Albert to John Allen. In the slipstream, it was nearly 1.1 seconds coming onto the banking. It's 0.8 of a second by the time they come to the bus stop. As I said, and as we sort of expected around here, the draft is king, because now coming out of the bus stop, John Allen's only half a second back and closing very, very quickly. Will he be patient this time, Doc, or will he go for the lead?
I'd sit back there myself, but, you know, you want the lead if you can get it and keep it.
No trophies being given out for most laps led, only the points
exactly
at the end of 60 minutes. But he's going to go for it, and he's going to get this lap led. That was the run he had out of the bus stop. He's nearly a whole car length clear as John Allen by the time they cross the line. He'll now lead into turn 1. A little bit behind that, I think that's Love and Nicely going door to door. And once again, John Allen throws it in too hot. Can't pick up the throttle early at the apex of the corner. And Alex Albert's back in the lead. Alex Bueller's come through, and there's a lap down car there. The 242 of Jacob Hiller coming out of the pit lane, all going a lap down. That's going to jumble up the pack, and some of the cars will struggle to get through on that bit of laps traffic there.
Well, I think one of the fun things to watch is when people decide to do that pit stop that they're going to need. I would imagine, you know, if you get the slightest inkling that the guy in front of you is coming in, you're coming in with him.
Yep, so fixed setup in the ChampCar Sim Series. In ChampCar Endurance Series, you only get so much opportunity to meddle with setup on your car. And if you're an arrive and drive driver, you've probably got no input in it. So a fixed setup, it makes the series a little bit more accessible, and it's not entirely unrealistic either. But part of that fixed setup is everyone starts off with a fixed amount of fuel. It's not enough to go the full 60 minutes. So everyone has to come down to the lane at some point, take some fuel. And because the fuel tank itself isn't restricted, just how much you start with, it's entirely possible to pit very early and still be able to fit in all the fuel to get to the end. The pit window is very, very broad as John Allen goes so deep into the bus stop. Surely he's going to get a slowdown penalty from that, and it's going to drop him from third back a long way. Yep, he goes all the way to the high side to get out of the people's way. So he's going to have to lift off out of the throttle, give up some of the time gained, and that has very much broken up some of the packs that we thought were going to be critical. We thought maybe you could have all the top 10 cars in a pack together. Little things have separated them out. Now, Alex Albert and Alex Bueller have made a little bit of a breakaway in the top 2.
Yeah, and them going 3 wide right there is only going to slow them down.
Well, 3 wide on the tri-oval is not going to slow them down too much. 3 wide into turn 1. Now that will. So that slowdown penalty from John Allen. He was 3rd place coming out of the bus stop chicane. He's now back in 7th place. A lot of traffic in front of him. So a big winner there, Nicholas Love. He's not feeling patient at all. He's dived down the inside of the International Horseshoe up into 4th place. Ross Banfield's moved up into 3rd, and Chris Nicely in the, I think it's sort of a lime green black racing stripes car, qualified 11th, now running in 5th as they come into the West Horseshoe. He's going to go around the outside of Bradley Daly, so they're fighting very, very hard in this pack from 3rd to 9th, and letting 1st and 2nd get away a little bit, Doc.
Yeah, they're going after it quite a bit here.
Not playing as much of the long game of the strategy, maybe getting caught up in the moment, in the adrenaline of the racing. But thankfully, even though everyone's throwing moves on everyone, our top 10 for the most part since the first lap, it's all been very clean. I haven't seen any door slamming. I haven't seen too many people miss their braking marker and nudge someone else. They've just not been patient. We've seen 2 wide, 3 wide. It's good fun to watch. Maybe it's not what we'd do in the driver's seat, but it's entertaining for the broadcast, that's for sure.
Definitely. But yeah, those first 2 cars have definitely broken away.
Bradley Daly has just gone and cut a huge chunk out of the bus stop chicane, and I think he'll also pick up a slowdown penalty. He's running really, really well in that pack. He's now down in 9th, and he might even bridge the gap to some of the cars behind, like David Evans and Scott Grinnell. And it's good battling all around, and almost every car that took the start still running. We're nearly 10 minutes in the books.
Turn 1 is so crazy there. You'd swear by looking at everybody there must be 30 perfect lines through there. It's not the sort of corner that really induces you to hold a particular line.
Yeah, there's a lot of pavement for the entry of the corner. You can take a tight entry or a very wide sweeping entry, and both seem to work, I guess, depending on the car. And of course, you're coming in at very high speed from the banking, and then you drop down onto the flat, unbanked section of the course. And these cars got a little bit more suspension travel than others, but I'm sure you still notice that.
Yeah, and of course, at the exit of one, you really funnel down quickly.
Of course, you go from the wide banking with the apron down low if you need it as well, into the road course sort of section there. And really, you can go 2 wide. Going 3 wide there would be very, very difficult, but 4 wide on the banking would be safe. No way you can do that through some of the infield.
No. 4 wide on the banking is about as much fun as you can have with your clothes on, especially if you're the outside car. What we ask the slower cars to do is keep low on the banking, and if you come up somebody, then move up a lane and pass them. Well, by the time you get to 4, there's often 4 cars stacked up there, and if you're the outside car, it's a lot of fun up there against the wall, because you're really just giggling in your helmet.
So here's the state of play. Alex Albert and Alexander Buell are kind of working together first and second. Have built out a gap of 4 seconds to the pack behind. John Allen mentioned his slowdown penalty earlier, but he's worked his way back through the pack. He's back up into 3rd place, and right behind that, it's 2 wide galore. So Nicholas Love's down on the apron. Ross Banfield's in the red, I think it's Pabst Blue Ribbon car. He's got the green car of Chris Nicely behind, and they go 2 wide, 2 deep into the first corner, and Tom Ellison and others trying to force their way through. It's going to stay 2 wide as they come towards the first hairpin. So Ellison and Banfield side by side coming into the second of the infield horseshoes. Ellison doing pretty well around the outside there, picking up the throttle pretty early, carrying a lot of momentum. That'll, of course, give him the inside for the next turn. It's turn 6 or 7. My memory eludes me, but I will look it up at some point. So Ellison makes it on through there. And of course, different circuits got different ways of counting their corner numbers. I love Road America, where what some people would call turn 3, the circuit calls turn 5, and that's okay, so long as everyone's consistent with what they're calling the different corner numbers.
Right, as long as your driver and your pit crew are together, you know, that's really all that counts. I'm still not used to calling it the West Horseshoe. We always called it Pedro Rodriguez, but I haven't heard that used in 30 years now.
There we go, a blast from the past. John Allen, once again, having problems with the bus stop chicane. He was 3rd going into that corner, and he's picked up a boatload of understeer. Just hasn't been able to make the car rotate. Come in a bit too hot. Now he's dropping all the way back again. He's in 7th right now. But Nicely and Daly behind have got a huge run on him, so it'll probably drop him back to 9th. Clearly, he's quick. Clearly, he can cut his way through the pack if that's what he has to do. But just little mistakes right now from John Allen. Dropped him from 3rd to 9th. in the space of about one corner.
Well, and our leaders are really working well together up on the banking. They're sticking in line and just hauling butt around there.
I think Alex Bueller's been giving a little bit of a bump draft to Alex Albert as well. And of course, that's very, very useful. Albert can focus on his corners, be quick through the infield, and then on the banking, he doesn't seem to have to worry too much at this point in the race. Expecting that the fuel in the cars will go between 30 to 35 minutes. So drivers could pit now if they wanted to, but I think the longest we'll see drivers stay out is probably getting towards the 25 minutes remaining mark. Well, we've looked at the top 10 almost all race. I'd love to go back and look at this battle for 12th place. Jay Safianek is leading, Lewis Morgar is leading Jacob Beenan here. Little 3-car scrap further on down. None of these three have pitted yet, and Jay Safianek's looking like the quicker car here. But of course, the slipstream, how it is, he's just dragging Lewis Morgar and Jacob Beenan along until they make a mistake, which they obviously haven't, so they're just staying with him right here on the banking. Little packs forming, little groups. So we've got plenty of racetrack to play with, but of course the slipstream really compresses everyone together on the banked bits of the circuit. John Allen, what's happened for him? That pack that I was talking about have just gone on past him, and John Allen's just blown straight through the bus stop as well. Didn't even try to make it. Clearly got some damage, some steering damage on that car, I think. I think John Allen's had a drama, and he's just trying to bring that back to pits. I'm looking backwards, see if I can find what has happened for John Allen. Oh, it's happened for him on the exit of turn 1 this lap. He's been collected by the 122, which is... have I got the car number wrong on that? Sorry, the 12 car, Bradley Daly. So an incident there in turn 1 this time.
Yep, John's in the pits.
Bradley Daly went off in the grass on the exit of turn 1, got a huge wiggle on, a huge chunk of oversteer, sent him sideways back onto the circuit where he collected the rear quarter of John Allen, just sent John Allen barrier, giving him a lot of damage. Here's the replay of what's happened there. No malice from Bradley Daly, but unfortunately it's cost John Allen a lot more than it has cost Bradley Daly. Back live, of course, now, and Alex Albert still leading from Alex Bueller, but behind them, that's the interesting pack now. Tom Ellison is in third, got himself a teeny bit of a breakaway from the cars behind. It's then Banfield, Love, Nicely, and Hall. 8 seconds is the gap from Alex Albert to Tom Albert. So the top two are looking almost uncatchable, unless 2 or 3 cars behind can really work together now or after the pit stops. Because that gap is now, you're not going to catch that by underfueling in the pit stop, and you're going to really, really struggle to make up that much time out on circuit, especially if you're being battled. Because now Banfield is coming for 3rd place. Tom Ellison clearly didn't get his qualifying hooked up at all, starting from 19th place. Here he is now running 3rd, now 4th. Cars behind catch him into turn 1. They're nearly going to go 3 wide at Ellison, Love, and Nicely. Love backs out of that one, I think, cleverly. Decides, oh no, he's had a huge incident there. He's locked up the tyres, gone for a slide, hit the pit exit, hit the wall there. Just as I was praising his patient driving, Love has had a huge issue. Don't know if you've had an eye on that one, Doc, but that's not what you want to do in turn 1 there.
And now
clearly gotten in too hot, locked it up.
I missed that.
So unfortunate for Love, and he was obviously doing really well in the pack battle for third. It sort of trims down the size of this pack now. Watching Tom Ellison is now in fourth, and he's right behind Banfield in third, with Nicely and Hall behind. It was 6 or so cars earlier, maybe 7. Now it's down to 4 because we've lost Love, we've lost. Well, Daly's still around. He's just dropped a little bit further back from this pack. So 2 cars for the lead, 4 cars for third. Here comes Ellison trying to work out what he's going to do about Ross Banfield. He gets up close, and then he goes high, and then of course he loses the slipstream there. And then once Banfield and Ellison are side by side, Nicely behind has all-you-can-eat buffet on slipstream. They're going to go too wide into the bus stop. Banfield trying to hold the inside. Ellison trying to come from the outside. That was lucky to not be an incident. What did you have your eye on there, Doc?
Oh, I was watching that battle into the bus stop.
It was very lucky to not be worse. Banfield had the inside. I think Ellison thought he had enough of a nose in front to take the corner. They were only just well behaved enough to not have problems.
That bus stop, it's easy to get caught up in somebody else's mess. There's just not a whole lot of racing room there. Everybody wants to carry as much speed before they go back up on the banking. And again, entering there, it's really tough to tell how much dirt and sand and grass has been thrown up in that corner when you're
everyone
braking.
who'd get in too hot, cut across some of the grass, would bring it back onto the circuit, wouldn't?
Yep. And it throws up a ridiculous amount of junk. And again, it's that sandy loam, so it's very, very slick.
Not a lot of clay or soil when you're this close to the beach, I suppose.
No, not a whole lot of clay. Surprisingly, there's a good amount of grip out there, though. Again, if you're not dealing with the sand, and the track's not very abrasive. You would think it would. You think it would be, but it's not. It's not hard on tires at all.
So for third place, Chris Nicely was just about to look to the inside of the bus stop on Tom Ellison. He's probably thought about what happened the lap before, decided a little bit of patience is the order of the day, but he does set up a fantastic run out of the bus stop. Tom Ellison sort of hits the limit of the grip. Now Nicely is closing it down. Lovely racing stripes for both of these cars, third and fourth. Ellison's got sort of navy blue and red, sort of a martini golf kind of colors there, and it's green and black, like a sort of I don't know, it's just reminding me of like a green bumblebee or something for Chris Nicely. He'll move his way up into third as they come towards the line, because he did get that great run out of the bus stop. Now it's too wide behind, so it's too wide, too deep for third through to sixth, and Ellison holds on to that one. Hall is trying to get down the inside of Banfield, comes in a bit hot, is lucky to not hit Nicely. Banfield gets the better exit, but he's going to be on the outside for the International Horseshoe.
Now, Banfield's car is painted up like their real champ car, with that famous Mazda livery from
the one from the Mazda 787B Le Mans winning car, is it?
Yep, that's the one.
I think that's the one they've got on trading paint. Sorry, on the iRacing paints, trading paints. I'm seeing the sort of Pabst Blue Ribbon can design.
The beer of budget racers everywhere.
So 10 laps in the bag. Might take this opportunity to do a quick rundown of your order. So first and second is still Albert and Bueller. Not a lot of change there. Good racing from third on down with Tom Ellison, Chris Nicely, Ross Banfield, and Justin Hall. It's all settled down just a little bit from some of the craziness earlier. Behind them, a little bit of clean air to himself. Bradley Daly in 7th. David Evans snuck his way up into 8th. Scott Grinnell, haven't mentioned much about him, but he's now in 9th. The top 10 is rounded out by Nicholas Love in 647. He's managed to somehow continue after that issues that we saw for him hitting the pit lane entry, going for a spin there. And 11th place, Lewis Morga. 12th is Brian Beenan. 13th, Gene Sirota. 14th, Jay Sofianek. 15th is Kelly Stoops. 16th, John Allen has taken his pit stop, gotten that car repaired, gotten back out there. Probably lost some time from that, unfortunately. 17th is Corey Brown. 18th, Benjamin Shout. He's also pitted. 19th, Lee Mullerman. He's running. 20th, Roy Deitch. And 21st, and your last car still out there, is Jacob Hiller. Well, from our top pack, Doc, we've had 2 cars come into the pit lane. Justin Hall and Tom Ellison. Can only assume they've come in a little bit earlier than the other cars, because they felt like maybe if those 2 work together, they can put in some quick laps right now, try and get clear of Banfield and Nicely. And Hall, I think, has jumped Ellison through the pit stops there. They were too wide on the pit exit, settled it down just a little bit. Hall and Ellison now pitted, taken their fuel, and they're back out.
Pit exit here at Daytona is one of the more treacherous anywhere.
It's got that that wall that separates the exit from the racing circuit there. Fantastic to stop any out of control cars on the pit exit coming
Yes.
onto the racing surface. But if you become that out of control car on the pit exit, well, you're going straight into the wall there. Exactly.
Well, I mean, we've seen that pit exit bite many a pro racer at the actual track. On cold tires, it's deadly.
And if there's been any rain about, of course, the pit exit there wouldn't dry off anywhere near as quickly as the racing circuit. Wouldn't have as many cars moving over it.
Right.
You'd come on cold, wet tires to that pit exit, which would have a lot more standing water than some other places around the circuit. I can imagine it.
It's very intimidating.
So Chris Nicely decides he's going to respond to Hall and Ellison coming into the pit lane. So now Nicely is on to the pit lane. I think he was running in 4th or 3rd place there. So he's now going to be separated from Ross Banfield. He's going to hope that he comes out of the pit lane with and alongside with the slipstream of Hall and Ellison, and they haven't managed to jump him by any margin. The stationary time in the pit stop for Justin Hall was 25 seconds, was 27 seconds for Tom Ellison. That's about what we're seeing, somewhere between 25 and 30 seconds of fuel. It's what they seem to think is necessary, and that's probably just enough to get away with sneaking a set of tires. Hall, Ellison into turn 1. Where is Nicely? Has he been dropped, or is he going to come out with them? I'm looking. He's coming through the pit exit now. If he has a good run on the infield this time, he'll still just be within touch of Ellison and Hall. I think those 2 are going to do what they can to try and leave him behind. It might not work. Nicely's reacted quickly to their pit call. He might still stay with that pack as Lewis Morga, another car coming into the pit lane, getting close to halfway point of this race, which is always a popular time to take that pit stop.
Our leaders continuing to work with each other well. I can't imagine with the lead that they have that they don't come in at the same time.
A lot of bump drafting there between the Alexes of Albert and Bueller. The Alexes of Evil? No, that doesn't sound right at all. So I'm sure Albert has Bueller's PayPal or his banking details, because Bueller has been very compliant, very helpful as well to Alex Albert's goal of snatching his first win in this season of ChampCar Sim Series. He was your winner of Season 1 in the Atlantic Division, but so far hasn't notched a win, and I don't think he's leading the points either coming into this one. I think that belonged to John Allen, who's had some wins, but finds himself having an unfortunate race at the moment. So Albert's on for his best one yet, and John Allen looking down the barrel of maybe being able to salvage a top 5, but not really a step on the podium, I wouldn't think. Give you an idea of why Ellison and Hall might have come into the pit lane a bit earlier. Their last lap together, they both did about 2:15 flat. Ross Banfield, who they were with and is still out, hasn't pitted yet. His last lap, a 2:15.8. It's only going to take 4 or 5 laps before Banfield comes into the pits and would come back out 3 or maybe 4 seconds behind those other guys, well out of the slipstream, out of contention for the podium. Ellison and Hall have very tactically, I think, worked together. And even if there was no real coordination or intention to it, it is probably going to work out in their favor the way the lap times are going right now.
Well, isn't collusion the word of the week?
So Albert and Bueller coming into the pit lane together right now from the lead. Who can stay out? We're past the halfway point. Normally we see about 35 minutes to a tank of fuel in ChampCar Sim Series. Of course, Daytona, a lot of time, wide open throttle, especially compared to our last round at VIR South. So I think we'll see a lot of cars come into the pit lane this time, unless they've been very cautious with their fuel. So Banfield in from 3rd as well. Same with Daly. Pit lane's going to be a very busy place right now, Doc.
Yes, it looks like it is. See our leaders taking tires there.
4 tires for Albert, and it looks like it's probably completed in about 25 seconds. We were seeing some of these guys take close to 30 seconds of fuel. So I think tires is a sensible thing to do, even if you think you're not going to get a huge advantage out of them. Hey, it's free real estate, so go for it. Albert and Bueller come out together, still in the lead because no one has been able to stay out a lap longer than them. So Banfield still in the pits, Sirota, Daly, Safianiak in the lane. Here come Ellison and Hall, and how much are they going to jump the likes of Banfield and Nicely? Well, not as comfortably as I might have thought. Banfield's coming out of the pit exit now. I think he might just be within the slipstream range of Nicely, who might still just be within range of Ellison and Hall. 27 minutes. Ellison and Hall are going to try and break away, but Nicely and Banfield, if they want a chance to stand on the podium today, they're going to have to put in their best, tidiest laps through the infield and hope and pray that they pick up just a mile an hour or 2 of slipstream on the banking that can close them back up to that pack.
Now, I didn't see Bueller take tires.
That's true. I was watching both of them, had both of them on my screen, and I actually don't remember seeing the car of Bueller going up on the jack.
Yeah, I didn't either, but he certainly seems to have no problem sticking with him here on the banking. Right, yeah.
And a note for Doc is that normally our director's words
Yep.
don't go out
Yep.
on the broadcast. So
I just figured
Michael
that
Derby,
out.
our man in the camera booth, who I haven't actually acknowledged yet. So he does all the work with the cameras, with the buttons, and pushing us out onto YouTube, all that kind of stuff. So thank you, Michael Derby. Also keeps an eye on the race and tells us if he sees anything interesting. And his
Somebody
words
needs
there.
to keep an eye on
were-
us.
Yeah, exactly. Someone's got to make sure the two of us behave. He's noting that you can absolutely get away with not taking tires for this 1 hour race. Of course, they're a pretty sturdy construction. You don't heat them up too much around Daytona here because the speeds on the banking aren't so huge, and you don't spend as much time in a corner as you do at some other circuits that we've already been to, like Sonoma and
Yeah, I
like
would
VIR
think
South.
the benefits of new tires would be fairly minimal at Daytona.
But with the amount of fuel that you need to take, as we mentioned, in the time that it takes to put your fuel in, you can take a set of tires for what's basically for free anyway. So if you're someone like Alex Bueller, I don't know why you wouldn't. He hasn't, and he's not staying in the slipstream or being as compliant as he was before the pit stops. So Bueller maybe going to ratchet it up in the second half. Allison and Hall being a bit cooperative, but if you're in a battle, you know, maybe you can absolutely stay there with the old tires. But if you want to be able to dive it deep on the brakes and have it turn on the last lap when it counts, when they're going to hand out the points and when they're going to hand out the trophies, so to speak, then I don't see why you wouldn't take the tires.
Certainly.
Yeah, it's a free advantage. There's no risk to taking it, and only potential reward.
Yeah, there's no downside at all.
So as I thought might have happened, the pit stops have broken up all of our packs just a little bit. The only ones really remaining is first and second, of course, Albert and Bueller. Third and fourth, which is Ellison and Hall. And then you look a little bit further down, we've got some guys still racing each other. 14th and 15th, Benjamin Shout and Kelly Stoops. Have a quick look at that one. Those guys are coming into, well, West Horseshoe is what I always call it. Doc, you can call it whatever.
Oh, the West Horseshoe works fine. It's what I'm used to hearing now, so...
Nicholas Love, after his incident and his troubles, he's been on the pit lane twice now. He's trying to break away from Lee Mullerman in 16th place. Not the race Nicholas Love would have wanted, unfortunately, but he's still out there. He's still trucking. Not sure he's going to have the opportunity to make up too many spots from where he is, unfortunately. But if he's having fun, then that's something. And of course, points, I think, go down to around 20th place in this season. I did know the point structure, and it's now gone from my mind.
Oh, I have it somewhere, but it'd probably take me forever to find it.
You never know what might happen in the tail end of this series when a couple of points might matter to you. So absolutely makes sense to stay out there, try and grab points if you can get them. Memory serves, I think there's also a fantastic trophy for second and third place in each division. So even if you don't win that ride or that free entry in the 2020 season of the ChampCar Endurance Series, there's nothing wrong with a little bit of silverware. Put it somewhere, take a photo of it, send it to your friends, send it to your mum. I'm sure she'd be interested. So I'd like one. I'm sure.
Dust collectors are dust collectors, baby. Get the hardware. We've still got a couple of guys I haven't heard from last year that have trophies coming to them.
At the very least, they've got to be worth something for recycling value.
I'm not sure if they're that big.
Right, news from the front. Alex Bueller still first and second. Justin Hall has had some kind of issue somewhere along. He's dropped back from Tom Ellison. Maybe he's gone in too hot to the bus stop somewhere. Maybe put a wheel off in the dirt somewhere else. because he is now, it's 1.8 seconds behind Tom Ellison, and that I think is just out of touching distance for closing in the slipstream. If it was a second and a half and they were equal through the infield, then you'd assume Hall would be able to pick up a tenth or so in the draft, and then eventually that would catch him back up to Tom Ellison. But where he is right now, he's going to need a mistake from Ellison or the drive of his life from Justin Hall to close that back up. They're sort of equally spaced now, third on down to eighth, but no one quite within draft contact of another. So, of course, any mistake there from any of those drivers will cost them a position or so. Tom Ellison, for now, in third place. Doc, he's got a little bit of breathing room.
Yeah, and you know, here's the interesting thing. You know, does he slow up to get those other cars in with him so they can all pick up speed, or you just keep that third place? I don't know that they have a chance of catching the leader. Certainly not if they don't gang up together. But I'm not even sure if, even working as a team, they can get up to our first and second place cars.
Yeah, the gap from second back to third place, nearly 20 seconds now. Yeah, so to close that up right now would need more than 2 seconds per lap. I think if Ellison, Hall, Knisley, and Banfield all combined as some kind transformer, that have trouble still catching up that gap.
Right, so there's no benefit to Ellison to holding back, so why should he? With the time remaining and the speed pickup, it's just not going to be enough. So you might as well hold on to third. There's no sense in working together with anyone. It would only be to his detriment.
Yeah, he's presumably going to have that pedal down all the way to the floor, trying to keep that gap out, but it hasn't worked. It's now 9 tenths from Ellison back to Hall. Maybe just a scruffy corner from Ellison. If he gave away 3 tenths, that'd all it would take for Hall to get back in the slipstream, close it back up, and make them a 2-car pack once again. And I think that's what's going to happen. As they cross the line, my timing is saying 9 laps to go, and Hall is right back in there. I think he would love to be on a podium. Sure. I think Ellison would very dearly love to pick up the points. They know each other well. They'll behave probably until the last 2 laps, at which point it'll probably
all
be
bets are off. Himself then.
I'll be very interested to see in the last couple of laps what happens for the lead as well, because Albert has had Bueller almost as a pet dog or something.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, exactly. It's been very, very
well, they've been very civilized about
Bueller. I sort of see them at this point as, you know, like Bueller, as Albert the evil mastermind, and Bueller
his henchman.
Yeah, or the lapdog, or the panther or something. You know, I've been expecting you, Mr. Bond. Do you expect me to slipstream? No, I expect you to bump draft or something. No clue there, but it's been very, very civilized, very patient, and I wonder how long that civility will remain.
I don't think it's going to go the whole race. This is Daytona. Come on.
So at 9th place, Scott Grinnell, David Evans. That's a pack that's formed up now. And nicely in Banfield as well. So they're all nicely spread out. These sort of gaps of 2.5 seconds. I was wondering if any of those were going to recoagulate, if that is even a word. Scott Grinnell, David Evans for 9th and 10th. Now Bradley Daly and John Allen for 7th and 8th. Nicely in Banfield for 5th and 6th. The top 10 is made up of 5 2-car battles, and John Allen has made his way through for 7th place. Got my eyes on that one because, of course, there was contact damage for John Allen earlier. Cost him a lot of time. He's trying to make up everything he can. He's now got Bradley Daly with him. Those two are trying desperately right now to try and bump draft each other, see if they can catch the next group.
Yeah, Daly's getting all in John Allen's mirrors. He's pulled out a couple of times, have a look around.
I'm looking at the timing, and there's 11 seconds up the road from John Allen to Chris Knisley. And I think there's only so much that bump drafting could close that gap. So I think as friendly as they were being, and there's probably a little bit of Daly's paint on Allen's car and Allen's paint on Daly's car now. I don't think, even with the best of cooperation, they can catch the next group unless there's an issue for Banfield and Knisley, who are now separated by only 4 tenths as well. We're going to have some great battles to watch coming to the line on the last lap at this rate, though. That's going to be very, very exciting. Pit stops broke everyone apart, and now the Daytona gods are coupling them all up back together again.
Well, they're still being very cautious. You notice they separate on the infield, give each other a little bit more room, but once they hit that banking, they're glued together.
Some eyes now for 5th place on Banfield and Knisley, who are only 4 seconds behind Ellison and Hall, and I thought Knisley was going to maybe give a little bit of a bump draft there. They haven't worked together yet this race. It doesn't mean it's too late. Banfield holding on to that coveted 5th place. I think if they could get a top 5, that would probably be your goal if you're any of these drivers around that area. So working together now, but especially for some of these battles like Banfield and Knisley and Allen and Daly, you know that won't last in the last 2 laps. So for the lead, still Albert and Bueller. The next pack, Ellison and Hall. The next pack, Banfield and Knisley. The next pack is John Allen and Bradley Daly. Round out your top 10, Scott Grinnell and David Evans. And of course, those two have just swapped positions as I say it, crossing the start-finish line and into turn 1. Big winners so far this race. Tom Ellison, he's started 19th. Now in that battle for 3rd place, so needs to focus on his qualifying maybe, but his Daytona pack racing strategies, and his racecraft probably doing him the favors there.
Well, I know he's got a lot of hours around this track in his various endeavors.
Rounding out your top 10 there, Scott Grinnell is up 11 spots. Could make it 12 if he manages to pip David Evans there. And yeah, Tom Ellison, a man who's done his fair share of iRacing Daytona 24s and various other races as well. So I don't know if he's got any real world hours around the circuit, but when it comes to iRacing, I think he's been around the block a few times, and if by block you mean Daytona International Speedway.
Yeah, I looked at his resume on iRacing. It's like, wow. He's forgotten more about iRacing than I'll ever know.
He's lost more iRating than many people will ever gain.
It'll be good to see him up at Indy. I was glad to see him make the list.
I was also very, very glad to see HJ Motorsport make the list for that one.
Yep. It's going to be a big deal.
So, I'll ask your opinion on this, Doc. You've got all of these little battles going on, and I want to know your pick from each of them. So, for the final spot on the podium,
let's see.
Is it be Ellison or Hall? And for 5th place, is it going to be Banfield or Knisley?
Let me go look here for a second. I'm gonna scroll through him here. I'm a rookie at this, folks, so Let's see. I think Nicely's got it.
It's an interesting call, and we'll definitely have an eye on that one. Those two they're losing time to Ellison and Hall right now. A gap that was 4.5 seconds is now closer to 6. The last lap for Ross Banfield, 2:14.2. The last lap for Justin Hall ahead of him, a 2:13.4. So the bump draft worth a lot of time around here in these particular cars.
He's a little bit more aggressive out there. But yeah, you don't see him hanging on the bumper.
Here's one thing they're going to have to look out for, though. John Allen has just set the fastest lap that I've seen yet. Last lap for John Allen, a 2-minute 12.5. Wow. I don't know where on earth he's pulled that one out from, but that is 1.8 seconds faster than Chris Knisley. And sure, we've only got 5 laps to go. If you can pull the better part of 2 seconds a lap out of the car ahead, that'll put the pressure on them, and he'll close that gap. John Allen, I thought maybe he'd be resigned to 7th place, but the rate he's closing, any little mistake, any little error, any little foible from Banfield and Nicely, and John Allen could still nab himself a top 5, which would be very important for his championship hopes.
He certainly does seem to have the bit between his teeth, doesn't he? Got those elbows up.
It's past a lap down car of Corey Brown on his previous lap, I think, did John Allen. So if he's had the little bit of traffic appear at exactly the right time, that he gets a good run out of the corner, then a solid slipstream, and then the car gets right out of his way, well, that could be worth a second per lap. So I'm not sure we'll see him repeat that speed. Certainly he's very, very, very quick, but he might have had a little bit of slipstream assistance out there for John Allen. Nonetheless, he's got the gap to Knisley down to 6 seconds when it was 11 or more not so long ago. We're in the dying stage of this race. It's going to be 8 minutes left on the clock when Alex Albert crosses the start-finish line this time. He's probably going to have 4 laps to go. It's getting to the pointy end. We're 24 laps in the bag, 4 to go. The ChampCar Sim Series 2019, Round 4 from Daytona International Speedway. Battle for 5th place on screen. This one not quite as placid as some of the other battles out there. If these two keep battling, that is what will allow John Allen to close the gap up as he is doing. Another lap in the 212s. Hardly anyone else out there can set a 212. Obviously, no one else is right now. So John Allen flying. I think I've seen 3 laps in a row in the 2-minute 12s, closing up that gap. He'll have a little bit of a bridge between him and that gap, that pack that he's chasing, because there's a lap down car between, who is that in the all-white car? Roy Deitch. So it's a cooperative lapped traffic for him. It'll close him up a little bit closer, give him some more slipstream. If it's not, it could cost him a teeny bit. But here's Knisley thinking about
overtaking. He took a look down there.
And that's the sort of thing we're going to happen in the last couple laps here. It's getting closer to the pointy end, but I think if you're these two, what can you do but get a good run out of the bus stop and hope that you can pass coming to the line? At what point do you no longer want to be the car leading?
Well, I think, you know, with 2 laps to go, maybe you start showing some feints to the inside or outside and just keep them guessing. And then on that last lap, you make your move.
Yeah, because if you pass the other car coming out onto the banking, then you might just expect them to pass you back out of the bus stop into the line. Sort of
Right.
like bicycle racing, where the form of track racing where you don't want to be the leading rider until the last lap. You want to be behind with the slipstream, maybe coming out of the final corner. Who knows? We'll see. That's the excitement that lays ahead of us. The sun is basically set, and it's gotten a little bit darker over the course of this race. We had a little bit of sunset at the start of the race, and now it's just solidly under the Daytona lights. We find ourselves racing in the last 5 minutes. A little bit of side-by-side for your third place there. So Tom Ellison, Justin Hall. Which of these two Team Huge Ass drivers will stand on the podium in just a couple laps time? Don't know yet. Hall is looking optimistically to the inside of that second horseshoe.
Yeah.
Nearly puts the front bumper to the rear fender of Tom Ellison, who also got in a little bit hot. There's a...
I think they're just going to fill up each other's mirrors. Because you know he's going to make a move. But it's a little too early yet.
Hall has had a couple of quiet runs into the top 5 so far this season. Little dark horse, little off the radar, good points hauls. I didn't even mean to make it like that. But yeah, that's for sure maybe not the first name that comes to your mind when you think about potential winners of this season prizes, but he could be on for a third place trophy at the end of this season. It's a long season, and if he just keeps putting it in the top 5 in the podium, and he just keeps turning up, certainly Justin Hall could have a very, very good run at this. So we're going to have 2 laps to go now. Albert and Buell across the line. Allison and Hall. It's our best battle. It's for final spot on the podium. Banfield are nicely behind them. It's very, very close as well. In fact, side by side as they come out of the bus stop, who is going to lead this lap? It's Banfield on the low side, Knisley on the high side. Knisley's got the run, so Banfield drops back in. Probably won't be able to close it up before turn 1. So Knisley leads that. Ellison and Hall still battling. John Allen,
He's
2 minutes
catching there.
11.8. Are you kidding me?
Wow. Jeez, that's dropping a ton of time.
So this is a 3-car battle for 5th place now. And John Allen, I don't know, took a while to find his rhythm early in this race. Must have picked up 3 or 4 slowdowns. It really felt like it. Now he's going to go side by side with Banfield into the kink. Infield, and he's probably just about got it done. The question is, would he can probably pass these guys. Can he break away with a lap to go? I'm not sure. But he's looking racy as all get up, and so is Hall for 3rd place.
That's a ridiculous amount of time to drop.
So 2 minutes left on the clock. White flag's going to be in the air this time, and you can tell from the body language in all of these battles that these guys know right about now is when the points will be handed out at the end of the next lap.
So Justin Hall's on the outside looking towards the bus stop. And he does indeed dive in.
Allison lifting out of that one. Meanwhile, John Allen, 5th place, has gotten past Nicely in Banfield. I think very cleverly left those two to fight each other. Let him scamper away just a little bit. It's only 7 tenths now. He's not out and clear, by no stretch of the imagination, but if he can have Knisley and Banfield fight, Allen will wrap up 5th place. White flag waved for Alex Albert and Alexander Bueller. So those two still leading by all of the gap. Allison and Hall, that's your battle there. And then 5th place, John Allen, Chris Knisley, Ross Banfield. Knisley's closed up on Allen in the slipstream, of course. I didn't think Allen would be able to get away. Sure, he's very, very quick, but with how much the slipstream is worth, it's being given to Knisley, and that John Allen is no longer getting. He's going to have those cars behind him on the final lap. Too many places. I don't know where to look on your final lap. Of course, we're going to have to look at the leaders, but the battles behind absolutely grabbing our attention.
Albert's not near in line with him as he has been, so he's looking, pulls out onto the upside of the track.
Yep, so as the time expires and we are on our final lap, checkered flag going to be waved at the end of this one. Alex Albert and Alexander Bueller are going to go side by side. It's a bit of the banking that comes towards the bus stop. Bueller's got a little bit of the run on the outside, but Albert, I think, has got him covered on the inside. Bueller backs out on the brakes a little bit early. Gives Albert the racing line. Bueller, if he can get a good run, could take the win here. Will he let Alex Albert have it? It's coming through the bus stop.
He got a good exit.
Yeah, and the gap that this group have got over all the cars behind, we can watch them come to the checkered flag and then look back. So Bueller pulls out of the slipstream, goes high. Albert sends him up high a little bit as well. They're going to be side by side. There's nothing between here and the line. Albert's doing everything legal to block him out, just leaving one car width to the high side. But I think at this point, the side draft's not enough. They come to the checkered flag, and Alex Albert is your winner for the first time in 2019 in ChampCar Sim Series. That means Bueller gets second. We've got to look back. Tom Ellison, Justin Hall. Well, Ellison's had a slipstream off a lapped car, and that's going to help him. I think he's got 3rd place. Justin Hall doesn't have enough behind there, so closing for Hall, but it's not enough. Tom Ellison grabs the final spot on the podium ahead of Justin Hall. John Allen is right behind. He gets 5th place. A great recovery from him. Chris Knisley just beats out Ross Banfield to the line. What an exciting last lap there, Doc. So
yeah.
The remainder of the grid gonna come across and take the checkered flag.
Just didn't seem like anybody had quite enough muscle to pull off those last passes.
Indeed, so crossing the line now, Scott Grinnell will grab 9th place. He's up 12 positions from where he started. Good run for him. David Evans in 10th, couldn't hang with it. And then we've still got another battle we can go to. 15th and 16th. Last cars on the lead lap, I think. It's Nicholas Love and Lee Muhlman, and they're right with each other. That's
I thought Albert
no shortage of action.
Did a great job of keeping Bueller busy on that last lap.
So side by side into the bus stop, Lee Muhlman grabs it away from Nicholas Love. Of course, 2 pit stops for Love, not having his finest race. He gets a good run out of the bus stop on Lee Muhlman. There's no other cars around to disrupt this. Love is going to get a fantastic run towards the line. This is one to get your cameras out for. Muhlman runs it up a little bit high to try and prevent Love from capitalizing on the overspeed that he's got. I think so. They're door to door. They're level now. Love puts his nose ahead. He's up high, but he's got just enough of an advantage. He pulls out about a car length to the line on the final lap, and Love grabs 15th place ahead of Lee Muhlman. Fantastic little battle there, and sort of the 4th one that we've seen on the final lap coming out of the bus stop in these cars. I think everyone's taken the checkered flag now, Doc.
Yep, that was a great race.
So, your finishing order, and you pull this one up, Doc, because I'll do the top 10, and then you can read out the ones below that.
Alrighty.
Your lead is your winner, round 4, Alex Albert. So he takes home all the points. 2nd place goes to Alex Bueller. Very, very cooperative effort between the two Alexes there. Last spot on the podium, as I mentioned, Tom Ellison doing everything he needed to do on the last lap. Justin Hall, 4th place, Still some good points. Still a great run from him to stay out of trouble. 5th place. Issues in the first half of the race. Unbeatable pace in the second half. Bit of a what could have been for John Allen. 6th place is Chris Knisley. 7th is Ross Banfield. 8th, Bradley Daly. 9th, Scott Grinnell. And 10th is David Evans. And from there on down, I'll hand it over to you, Doc.
All right, 11th place, John Sirota, Jay Sofinick, Benjamin Schott. I know Benjamin fairly well. Kelly Stoops, Nicholas Love, Lee Mullman, who we saw there at that very last battle out on track, Roy Deitch, Corey Brown, Lewis Morga, and I lost count of where I was.
That's okay. Lewis Morga, your 19th place car. He
there we
was,
go, 19th.
unfortunately, 5 laps off the lead, but stuck it out, come to the and
Yep.
some retirements. Jacob Hiller, Jacob
laps,
Beenan, and Alex Coffard. And not taking the start, Joseph Meyer, Mitchell Peake, and Brian Cheney.
Yeah, I wonder what happened to Brian.
Doesn't look like he's taken the start, so that's not sure about that one. Before we grab some driver interviews, really quickly, Doc, just your thoughts on round 4 here. And of course, the first race of the ChampCar Sim Series that you've joined us in the commentary box for.
Well, again, I'm hugely envious of what y'all have to work with here with camera views and that sort of thing. I thought it was a great race. We'll see. I thought people would stick a little bit more together at the beginning. But we had some great battles throughout the field. And as you pointed out, every point counts. It's going to be a long season. We'll see what happens towards the end. Of course, you're allowed to drop your 4 worst finishes. So I would suspect with the points the way they're divided up, it's going to be a very close championship coming down when we get to December. So it was sure a lot of fun joining y'all. That was a blast.
One of the men hoping to make that championship a little bit closer, and our race winner, I've brought him in. It's Alex Albert. Alex, tell us about that one. Looked like you had a really, really good drafting partner, and together just managed to dance away.
Yeah, Bueller really helped me a lot there. We once we got away from the pack, once you get around John D, we just worked together to try to break the draft and then build up a big lead. That way, in case anything bad happened, we could still maintain our positions.
Well, I noticed you kept him pretty busy up there on the banking in NASCAR 4 on that final lap.
Yeah, I wasn't going to let him steal it from me on the last lap after I gave him plenty of shots to take the lead, I felt like. And I pulled over there on 2 to go, coming out of the bus stop, kind of saying, you know, if we're going to race for this, let's start now.
Let's go now.
Yeah, and so then whenever coming out of the bus stop, I was just going to try to side draft him. I wasn't going to touch him, but I wanted to just make him run the longest line possible.
Sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, sorry there wasn't more back and forth up front, but we were doing what we had to do to get the point.
Well, yeah, I know. Y'all ran a perfect race together. You cooperated and built that lead up where it's just you two. It's a lot easier to race just 2 people than there is 5 or 6.
Absolutely.
Big points haul for you. Maybe bring into the picture as defending champion. You think you can hold on to that one, or do you think when we get to tracks where the cooperation and the drafting is not as important, that maybe some other drivers will shine through again?
Yeah, I'm hoping to be able to hold on to it. I did good to make points on John D today. I think he's probably the stiffest competition that's going to be here week in, week out, outside of the other huge ass guys. So really just glad to make points on him. He had a couple of mistakes today, and we have to capitalize on those, because without the mistakes, we probably would have ran second.
Yeah, he put together some impressive laps at the end there.
Yeah, he's a heck of a talent.
So we might move on now. Thanks so much for having a word with us, Alex. To
thank you.
3rd place finisher, Tom Ellison. And Tom, 16 places gained. How did you cut through the traffic in the early goings?
Hey guys. So full disclosure, I haven't done any of the practice rounds this round. Work has been crazy and haven't been able to make it. I got home at about 8:50 p.m. this evening, jumped online, had time for one qualifying lap. That was the extent of my practice, so started 19th. And we got lucky on first lap. I saw some incidents in the first turn especially, just tried to keep my nose clean on the inside. And then made up some places coming in the pack with Chris and with Nicholas and with Justin. John Allen was there as well. And then tried to just make my way through those. Bit a little early, just try and get myself out of the draft and put in a couple of quick laps after the stop to get clear. And then had a nice little battle with Justin to the flag. So, it was a gratifying race after not much preparation.
Championship-wise, are you here to make up the numbers? Do you think you can sneak away into the top 3 in the points at the end of the season, or are you here for a good time?
So first off, I'm here to make sure that the championship runs smoothly. I'm very grateful that Doc has given me the opportunity to get this up and running, and I think we're making good progress.
It is I, the one that is grateful, my friend.
And I think we're making good progress in the second season here. We've had a good field in the first 4 rounds, so that's my primary objective, is to make sure that everything runs smoothly and that people have a good time and people are well behaved on track. If I could sneak maybe a run at third place in the championship, it's going to be very difficult with John, with Robert, and with the fast guys at Albert and Alex Cofford. I'd love to have one of those trophies at the end of the season, but that would be secondary to making sure that we do a good job.
Well, I think y'all are doing a phenomenal job. This has been great to be a part of, and I thank you very much for that, Tom.
Well, thank you, and we're thrilled and a huge ask to help ChampCar. We believe in the project, and it's been such a great way for us to get involved on the track with our novice team. And if we can help them back a little bit, meet lots of people, make lots of friends. If we can start to give a little back in the arenas that we have a little more experience in, then we're very happy to do so.
Well, we all appreciate it. I know several of the board members are watching tonight.
Hey, guys.
Hi to my friends and family at home. Is that your message there, Tom?
That's what I'm saying there, yes.
Right. But, thanks so much for being generous with your time and not just jumping in to have a word with us here, but more generally with some of the organisation of the ChampCar Sim Series.
My pleasure, and thank you guys for broadcasting. I think these live broadcasts really add a lot to the series to lend it some legitimacy and to bring in some new viewers and entertainment. So I'm thrilled that you're able to do it, and thank you again.
Thank you, Tom. We'll have one last chat here. We'll go 5th place, John Allen. Are you with us?
I am. Kind of caught me off guard there, but hi, guys.
Yeah, sorry, didn't cheer you up for that one. Just dragged you into the commentary box by the scruff of your neck. A bit of it, and talking about that, yes, a bit of a scruffy first half of the race for you, picking up a couple of slowdowns and that, but then your pace in the second half, phenomenal. What was it? What was it going to take to stand on the podium?
Well, fewer mistakes up front for one. I don't know what I was doing. I missed a few shifts early going into the bus stop. I probably made the mistake of making changes late after I set my qualifying lap. I went back in, recalibrated my pedals and my steering, and so sometimes probably not a good idea. Just stick with what worked. And so I outbroke myself a couple times, and then unfortunately, I still don't know who had to clipped me there out of turn 1 and whatever lap that was. It was unfortunate. I've been where they were and get in the grass and turn, and I thought I had a clean run and a spot back, and next thing I know, it needed some repair. So,
well, a good recovery there, and I'm hoping we'll see you for the remaining rounds of this season, because I think today's result has made the championship battle a little bit closer, a little bit more interesting, and maybe just a little bit more tensely fought.
Yeah, no, that's it shows anything can happen, and you're not, nobody's out of it early, including myself. I get another run of luck or poor decision making like this, I could fall like a stone. So there's good competition throughout. Alex has had a couple strong runs. Thomas had a heck of a charge today from where he had to start. So keep your nose clean. It did a lot for you.
Awesome, then. Thanks so much for being a good sport about us jumping in with you post race and picking your brain. Doc, you got any words for John?
No, that was an impressive comeback at the ending. You mentioned changing your pedals and that sort of thing. You know the old adage: if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right?
Yeah. I have a couple other leagues that I've run in, and some of the regulars there have come to know me as, that guy. I'll practice and I'll make changes right before qualifying. I'll qualify, I'll make changes right before the race, and I never learn. So I just have to tweak. Well,
there's always that second guessing, and eventually you just have to tell those voices in your head, keep quiet, guys, I got this. So, but impressive run back.
Well, thanks. Yeah, all I really had to keep me going there was chasing the carrot at the end. I saw I had a chance to make it back to top 5, and my fastest lap was my second to last lap. In fact, I think my 3 fastest may have been 3 of the last 5. So definitely put the head down at the end and made.
Yeah, you did have those elbows up there at those last couple of laps for sure.
Well, I hope we put on a show. I look forward to the next round, guys. Thanks for the broadcast.
Definitely did. We had a very, very exciting last couple of laps out there. So that was John Allen joining us. Thank him for that. And Doc, it's about time to wrap up our broadcast here. Any final thoughts, and maybe more broadly this time, about the championship, about the season, and the rounds we've got lying ahead of ourselves for the ChampCar Sim Series?
Yeah, I look forward to following y'all all season. I'll try and join in every once in a while. Wednesday nights are a little difficult. Before I agreed to the change, I kind of almost forgot we have our board meetings with ChampCar on Wednesday nights. Luckily, we don't have one this week, but no, we've got some great races coming up. Road America, Charlotte, Watkins Glen, of course, will be huge. Then we're going to do that off round up at Mospark Park, so that should be fun. It's a long season. I think it's still certainly up in the air for anybody to grab the grand prizes. And if you're unfamiliar, we're you're earning a real entry into a ChampCar race. And so that's a pretty decent prize in my mind. So hopefully the series will keep growing, and we'll see more and more people out here.
Yeah, indeed. Won't put a dollar value on that prize, but it's certainly very, very generous in terms of the things that you can win.
Yeah, it's
sim racing. So
yeah, it's up around $1,400 so that's not bad.
Yeah, certainly very, very good if you can get it. And we've seen that the battle for that grand prize and for the championship this season has just gotten a little bit closer this round at Daytona. Thanks so much everyone who's tuned in and joined us, and thank you to all of our racers as well here on HJBC. We are bringing coverage of all of the remaining rounds of the ChampCar Sim Series, as well as Reddit iRacing League and some other in-car cameras, broadcasts, other things yet to come. Do subscribe, stay up to date, don't miss a broadcast. I've been David Haynes. Alongside me, I have had the one, the only Doc, and our production man with all the cameras, all the graphics, all the buttons, Michael Derby. Cannot do it without
thank
him.
You, Michael.
Thank you to
that
you.
Was fun.
And
David, thank you very much for shepherding me around, this noob here. Hope I didn't embarrass y'all or lower the quality any.
No, no worries. It's great to have you on board, and hopefully we'll get you back again sometime soon. Great insight both into the Champ Car Sim series and then into the Champ Car Endurance series as well. Thank you so much from that, and we'll wrap it up here. Good night.